Consumption is a massive part of the human experience. When we're little kids, or the first part of our lives, that's all we do. It's how we learn, it's how we grow. There's a verse in the Bible, and it goes something along the lines of, when I was a child, I thought as a child. I moved as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And in many ways, it's time for you to move beyond consumption. For some of us, that's all we know. And it's very easy to fall into this trap in this day and age. I myself, there came a point where I realized how much content I was consuming, how many videos, how many books. But there comes a point where you start to loosen your grip on those things and you realize that that has become a vice in and of itself. There is a truth inside of you that no one else has the ability to articulate in the exact way that you can. As a unique individual who the divine God is waiting to express itself in a very individual way through you. The things I talk about, the things that I say, there are other people on the internet saying these kinds of things that I'm saying, but you're unable to receive it from them. But for whatever reason, you can receive it from me. We are connected in that way. And very similarly, there are people out there that will only be able to receive certain truths through you specifically. And by you continuing to ignore that call, you are actually depriving those people of your gift. In a lot of ways, it can seem like humility. I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to put my voice out there and pretend like I know things because it seems arrogant. But it actually takes a lot more humility to slow down and understand that you are a vessel and you have the ability to be a conduit for divine will. So this is a topic that I have been wrestling with, that I've known I wanted to make a video about this for quite some time. And if you stumbled upon this video and these words resonate with that deeper part of your heart, then it's not on accident. It is time for you to stop consuming so much. And it's time for you to start creating, whatever that might be. It might be speaking to a camera like this. It might be poetry. It might be music, writing a book, starting a business that serves other people. And for most of us as men, when we get to a certain point in our lives, there is a whisper, a still small voice. And it's hard sometimes to really pinpoint because life is so noisy. We're constantly being inundated by media, advertisements, the opinions of others. And this is why meditation, learning how to be alone, and going within is so important. Because I've said this before, I say this to everyone I work with, all my clients, at the end of the day, all of the answers are within you. But you will never know that until you start showing up. So if you're beginning to develop some spiritual awareness, and you'll notice that there's this still small voice that just seems to know things. You'll have a question about the nature of existence or reality, or what direction to go in life. And there's this subtle voice that just sort of knows. If you get still, you can hear it, you can feel it in your body. A lot of times when we get those insights, we feel very grateful. But the source of that is an infinite well that resides inside of you. And that's why inner work and spiritual awakening is so powerful and so important. Because a lot of us are living lives completely disconnected from the divine infinite intelligence that is responsible for everything in existence. It's what grows your fingernails, your hair, it's what beats your heart. And so we as men, when we start to move beyond the self-improvement stage, right, of trying to build muscle and trying to build a business and trying to regulate our emotions and things like that, then there's a calling to dip our toe in some form of transcendence, some form of spiritual awakening. And when that happens, it's no longer theoretical, it's no longer concept. You begin to move towards direct experience direct experience of God, the divine, infinite intelligence. And I am a very fallible human being in this character, in this ego. But there are times where I'm able to take my ego and push it aside. And what's left is divine intelligence. What's left is love and a knowing of truth versus falsehood. And that's something that's very difficult to understand from the rational mind, because these minds are so logical, but it's only moving from the place of the finite. So all of this is to say, very fancy way of saying, if you want to get to the next stage of inner work, meditation, plant medicine, all that stuff's great, but it's time to start creating. And if there's fear, if there's resistance, then for a lot of us, it's a step of faith. I remember when I first started talking to a camera, it didn't feel like this magical thing, but there was this knowing within me, there was this devotion in my heart where I was like, I want to start giving to the world. And that's going to look different for every individual. Even if your calling or pull is to talk to a camera, it's going to look completely different than what I'm doing and completely different from what other people are doing. But there's so many different avenues. There's music, there's art, there's writing. You know what that thing is for you. If you get still and you get honest with yourself, you know what you are being called to create in this world. In this very temporary, finite human existence, there is something inside of you that wants to be birthed. And all of life up until this point has just been the gestation period. So the point of this video isn't to have this grandiose idea of what your purpose is. It's to just start taking small steps. Some actionable inner work right now is to ask yourself the question, what is the first step towards a creative endeavor that I'm being called to create something to serve other people? And I know how challenging that this can be. I have wrestled with this within my own being for years and years, and it ebbs and flows. It's not linear. You will go through stages where you're just kind of sleepwalking through life. You're consuming a lot of things. So something to be intentional about, or even pray about, is to ask the divine, if you're in a stage of consumption still, bring me the things that you want me to consume that will be the ingredients for this gestation period of what I'm meant to create. But I know that a lot of you, it's time to stop consuming altogether, or at least 90%. It's time to do 90% creation and 10% consuming. In some of those downtimes that you might have, it might even look like driving in silence to and from work instead of listening to music or a podcast or an audiobook. Driving in silence and sitting with the discomfort of your own boredom. Because oftentimes the divine, what is meant to be created through us, is hiding in the mundane moments. It's hiding in boredom. And if we're constantly consuming, what we're doing is, from a place of fear, we're pushing away the thing that is trying to manifest itself through us. The main thing that inspired this topic, honestly, is the clients that I tend to work with. A lot of them are entrepreneurs, men who have started businesses. And by the end of our work, they begin to realize, like, this isn't just about me doing inner work and healing. This is about me realizing that there's some kind of creation that I'm meant to step into. My whole life, my whole identity has been this kind of business, and the whole purpose of it is just to make profit. But I'm realizing now that there's something that I'm meant to give that no one else in this world can give. And again, I want to reinforce to let go of perfection. A really good example, in the self-improvement space, a lot of guys are trying to quit pornography because it has a hold of them. They realize, like, man, I'm a slave to this vice. If you're someone who has made progress in that area and you're free of that vice, what we tend to do is we continue to consume content that reinforces that we're on the other side of it. So say you've been free of that advice for like a year, you might still find yourself being pulled to like no-fap content where people are like talking about the benefits of it and how it changed their life, how pornography is evil. Instead of continuing to consume that content now that you're on the other side of it, allow yourself to have the courage and the vulnerability to speak about it, to talk about the things that helped you. Because you as an individual, there's going to be nuanced things that brought you to that other side of being addicted to that vice and now being free of it. And you can almost guarantee that someone in the world needs to hear that message through your voice specifically. So in your next meditation, when you're taking a walk, when you are doing any kind of self-inquiry or contemplation, just start to ask different questions. What is it that I can create? In what areas do I need to humble myself in so that way I can show up and begin to give something instead of just consuming? Because it is not humility to just sit on our asses because we feel like there's more growth that we need to make first before we put creations out to the world that serve other people. Come as you are. Show up as the version of you that is imperfect, because this is an ongoing process. You're always going to be improving in some areas. You're always going to be moving towards new spiritual awakenings or insights. So you have to have the humility to bring acceptance to where you are and understand that me, you, as our imperfect human selves, we have something to offer the world. So if you've been on that fence of, oh, like I kind of want to create something, I kind of want to make content or music or whatever it might be, this is the invitation. What are the steps? One step at a time. Don't look at the mountain that you're trying to climb. Look at the next step that'll elevate you just a little bit. And funny enough, as you do this, you will become more connected with the unity, with the oneness of all things. This puts you in the energy of interdependence rather than either independence, where it's me versus the world, or dependence. Like I need something outside of me to save me and help me. You find that balance where those two things, independence and dependence, they sort of merge into the next level of interdependence. And when that happens, you will be more connected to God, to your divine nature. But it takes a degree of faith, it takes some courage to show up and do that. If ever you've been impacted by any of my content, it's because I myself had to wrestle with these things and come out the other side and eventually just be okay with creating. I remember the one video that I had that went viral, got like 1.2 million views, tens of thousands of comments. It happened right when I got to the other side of my healing of my dad's suicide. So when I was 17 years old, my dad took his life. It was a whole process. I really prolonged the healing process because I was afraid to feel things, to go within. But there was this one evening where it's almost like the last strand, the last shred of the grief and the pain and the narrative and story I was holding onto that was keeping me in that wounded state. Once it fell off, then this inspiration came, and that's where my first car chat video came from. It was 1 a.m. I felt this wave of inspiration and I was like, I want to make a cinematic video. I'm going to put my expensive camera on the outside of my car and I'm just going to speak from my heart. And I remember just sort of chanting to myself like a mantra, like, speak through me, not my will, but thy will be done. Heal somebody through this. All the while feeling completely unworthy, feeling very small in my humanness, like who am I to show up and try to make an impact or be an instrument for the divine? And if I didn't take that step, then we wouldn't be here right now and I wouldn't be doing this work. So you never know what is inside of you that is ready to be unlocked. So let me know in the comments if any dots have connected for you, if there's any kind of breakthrough. Please share this video with someone that you think could really benefit from this message. Also, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Apparently, like 80 or 90% of you who watch my content aren't even subscribed. And lastly, I do offer one-on-one coaching and mentoring. If you are at a place in your life as a man who maybe has the outer trappings, you have external success, but you are ready to do this inner work and you want some hand-holding, click the link in the description and you can apply, and we can hop on a discovery call potentially and see if we'd be a good fit to work together. Currently, I have one slot available, so if you feel a pull towards that, then click the link, fill out the application. I want to reiterate before I sign off on this video that coaches, mentors, people that do this kind of work to try to serve humanity essentially, what they should be doing ultimately is pointing everyone back within themselves. Yes, I'm a coach. Yes, I'm a mentor. But at the end of the day, none of us are saving anybody. All we're doing is pointing everyone where the answers lie, and that's back within yourself. In all religions, we make deities out of these people like Buddha and Jesus Christ, but the kingdom of heaven, as Jesus said, is within you. But a lot of us are too afraid to look within, because to get to that deeper essence of who we are, we have to get past all of the wounds, all of the pain, all of the stories, all of the identities that we're holding on to. Yes, we can help each other, we can encourage each other to do that work, but ultimately it's all about you. It's all about continuing to show up, going within, and letting the infinite intelligence that created all things ultimately guide you and show you what your path in life is. So I hope this video helps you. That's all I got for you tonight. You are loved, you matter, and you've barely scratched the surface of what you're capable of. I'll talk to you soon.